Now let's go to the first part of our employment cycle, the acquisition of staff. The first thing we need to do is identify staff needs, which is an essential part of human resource planning. Human resource planning is an essential part of this process. If the businesses fail to plan correctly, we might get the wrong person. If we rush our job advertisements, then we're going to employ somebody who's not totally suited to what we require in our business, and productivity falls, customer satisfaction falls, and so on. So we need to get this stage right. So we need to identify the skills that we want the person to have in the particular position that we have got open for us. In addition, we'd also be trying to work out what our future demands would be. So this is where economics comes into the fold, in terms of working out the market that you're selling into, and perhaps seeing what some trends are telling us. In the current case in Tasmania, the economy is going down, retail's down, tourism's down, the Australian dollar's high, which would mean that a lot of industries in Tasmania are suffering. Therefore, we've got the future demand trending down rather than up. So that would mean we need to not worry about new people, we'd worry about separating. So this is also in terms of the future needs of the business itself. So we may be expanding, we may be changing into another market, whatever. We may have a different focus on the sorts of skills that we want. That needs to be put into our planning so we can satisfy those future needs. What we need to do in the first, once we've established those first parts, is to do a job analysis. As you can see, I've used a application form, if you like, that's been an ad that's been put into the newspaper. That's on page 255 of your text. So this is for a graphic design and artist. John Wiley happens to be the publisher of this book. The important thing here is that we need to work out what a job description is and a job specifications. In relation to the job description, we need to work out what the employer's duties will be. What do we want them to do, and what are they responsible for? What tasks do they have to do on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, yearly basis? And are they responsible for various sections, are responsible for people, responsible for resources and processes in our business? And what sort of work environment will they be working in? It's outside, inside, is OH&S an issue, and so forth. Secondly, if you see here, we look at the job specification. Okay, what specific skills are required? So what qualifications do they need? Do they need up to grade 10? Do they need a university degree? Do you need to have an apprenticeship, or be prepared to do an apprenticeship? What sort of education have you got? And this is obviously very important. That's what you guys are good at and gaining at a rapid rate. So education could obviously go as far as university level. What sort of skills have you got? And this is really important. What skills? It's what we call employability skills, which can include things like communication, teamwork, innovation, creativity, and problem-solving skills. How good are you at those sort of things? It's really those generic employability skills that you can take from job to job. What sort of experience have you had? From a perspective of where you guys are at, I mean, even experience being a prefect, being a team member of a sports team, doing some community service. They're all important things that you can bring to a job application. It doesn't only have to be job experience, but as obviously you go on in your job career, in your career path, then your previous experience in a job will be very important. Now that we've worked out what exactly we want the person to do and what experience and qualifications they need, we can now turn to the second part, recruitment. One of the first decisions HRM managers need to make is to work out whether we want to go external or internal. So external is external to the business, and that's commonly used, but quite often also we can go internal and see who is in our organisation currently who would fit the bill, and we can ask them to apply in the first instance. Let's have a look at external recruitment. In the first instance, this is the most common one, we advertise in the press. But that tends to be fairly expensive. An average advertisement in the local Examiner will still cost you, for a little ad, about $250, and if you want to go to a bigger one, obviously it goes up from that. Online is an increasing important way of recruiting, obviously cheaper, and you've got a bigger breadth, but you need to be more targeted in the way that you use this medium. But that's becoming a more important way of recruitment. You can go to agencies, professional agencies that do a lot of this work for you rather than you having to do the work yourself, and that may be something that a smaller organisation who can't afford a human resource manager for them to do. You can go directly to schools, or a common way that I know that people have been recruited is from TAFE. So they're in the industry already, and the people in that industry go to the TAFE and say, look, have you got anybody who's suitable? But even in my role as a teacher, I've been asked the same question: have you got somebody who's suitable for an accounting or an economics type job? And as I mentioned before, we can have an internal search. Quite often what happens here at Grammar is that if a position becomes available, then an email goes out and for any suitable candidates to put their hand up, and this obviously will save lots of money by not advertising or going to agencies, which obviously costs money. This method is a good way of rewarding loyal employees, and provides a progression, a career path within the organisation, and that keeps the loyalty amongst staff and the motivation amongst staff as well. Now we go to the selection process. So we've advertised, people have put in their resumes and a letter to go with it, and then we've got to go through the laborious process of selecting a suitable candidate, or indeed in the first instance you want to select a group of people that you want to interview. The selection process is really about matching applicants to the job specifications. So in the first instance we look at the resume, and you guys would have produced one of those, and it's a very important document, and it's a living document, right? Every year, if you're still wanting to go up along your career path, you should update your resume. Part of the selection process might involve testing. Now I know that even at the lower levels, for, again, if I talk about the TAFE sector, even to get in a course, I want you to have basic literacy skills. The selection process always involves an interview, almost always involves an interview. And as I said earlier, for that to occur, you might get 100 letters and so forth, so you have to employ some processes and some criteria to see which people you're going to interview. And lastly, you might also do background checks. You might also know this, that employers are increasingly looking at your Facebook profile to see what sort of person you are, and what sort of language you use, and that sort of stuff. And that's a common way of getting an extra bit of background about the person that has applied for position in your firm. Again, it's time to stop. Check your understanding. Page 260 in your text. Your review questions 1, 3, 7 and 8, please.